Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another Monday night here at Proficiency Bonus. I'm going to look and make sure my microphone is working because it didn't start that way on Friday.
Mine hasn't done that too.
Thank you, and we are, before we jump into things, a couple of quick shout-outs. Thank you to Streamlabs, OBS, and Twitch. We use their software and platform to do what we enjoy. Thank you to Little Dragon Corp, our favorite northern sponsor. You can put in exclamation point Little Dragon, get a link to their website, which looks like it's already been done. I have not heard from Michael because he's been out of town about our discount code being back up and running. Give it a shot. As he was working with them to get that fixed after it broke. If it isn't working, though, check their Twitter, check their Facebook. Little Dragon is great. They've always got some sort of promo running. You can definitely find a way to save on some of your dice and tabletop needs. And then our friends from the South, Cardboard Castle Games. You can find, again, D&D stuff, books, Magic the Gathering cards, all sorts of different things. If you happen to be in the Evans, Georgia area, definitely go check them out. If not, you put exclamation point CCG. It'll also give you a link to their website where you can check them out. And with that, we're going to jump into, well, the middle of a storm, so to speak. Last time our party had found themselves in a strange place with a seemingly okay friend who offered to bring them to their temple to get some help for their unfortunately deceased allies. A couple of days' travel with this individual brought them to a location he referred to as the High Clerist's Tower. Brought into a small and advised that there were clerics at this location, sort of a gateway point to his city and his temple. But there were people here who would be able to assist in resurrecting their fallen compatriots. A ritual was cast. Well, I should say the party separated as Artemis started hearing noises and voices in their head. As Artemis was steered off to go aid someone who was asking to be saved, Lydia followed suit. Furia and Sarah went with the cleric and their two friends' bodies to the temple for aid. The ritual was cast and Murdoch was revived, albeit sore, somewhat out of sorts, and has been sent off to bed by Furia. Whereas being made aware that the Snow Moon was not able to be revived by their own cleric, the location cast Speak with Dead. And the party was able to, well, at least the remaining party members were able to have a sort of conversation with Snow Moon, who had advised that his soul was at peace and he was remaining where he was, as he felt that was the only way to proper honor the situation. And and I should mention that given Sarah's dislike of the answer, our small halfling friend was getting more and more agitated to the point that Furia had one of the guards stationed there remove Sarah from the location. So we are actually going to pan first to start over with... Well, actually, let me ask this, because we're going to place it a little differently. Furia, Sarah, Art, and Lydia. All four of you roll initiative for me.
Oh dear.
Okay,
Where did my D20 go? I just
Things
lost it.
are a little...
headset cut out with...
Roll initiative.
Sorry, my headset cut out again. No. Come again.
There we go.
Hello.
How many D20?
Some of these are going to be somewhat, I guess I'll say somewhat time sensitive. So I want to see like how people, what order people are going to be acting here.
That's a 2 for Granny.
Okay.
I got a
Are you
13.
doing it? No.
I'm sorry, what was that, Furia?
13.
13.
How'd you get? What's your dexterity? Because initiative is plus dexterity.
And it's a 5. Wait,
You can't, you literally, if your
Yeah, a
dexterity
rogue
modifier is a +5,
Oh,
you
wait,
literally
no, it's
can't
a-
get a 2.
it's okay. Plus 6.
You rolled a 2 plus
I
3?
can't.
Or
I don't know how to do math. I'm gay. 8.
There you go.
Okay. There we go. Art, what do you have?
19.
Oh, wow. Okay. And Lydia.
11.
Okay. So it looks like we are actually starting with Art and Lydia.
Oh boy.
As so the two of you have made your way down this long hallway, doors of different shapes, just a very sort of odd sensation to this long hallway you're in. You found a room completely covered in rubble. Artemis, you were hearing that voice coming from under the rubble. As you guys started moving little bits of it, you had Detect Magic cast, and you were seeing a glowing circular light. As eventually, with Lydia's help, you guys managed to pull some of the rocks away large enough for you to sort of get down and reach in. As your hands are making contact with this small glass orb, looks to be about 10 inches in diameter. The first thing you notice is your hands are reaching out and you grab hold of it immediately upon your hands touching it. With your Detect Magic still on, you can see that it is radiating every different school of magic,
Oh, cool.
sort of swirling through it. And as your hands make contact and you see these two almost skeletal-like arms reach out and grab your wrists,
Oh, I didn't
and mind
know
you,
there was-
in your mind, that your hands touch the orb and everything just vanishes, and you see this swirling different mists of red, blue, green, white, black, circling and spiraling through. As these two hands reach out, and you can see your own hands grasped like this, holding onto each other, feeling almost like pulling back and forth between the two of you. Roll a d20 for me.
I don't like that. I don't like that.
No.
7?
Okay. As you're reaching out, you feel these hands starting to pull you deeper. You feel the sense almost as if you're falling into this. And that same voice you heard in your head calling out for help. You start hearing this sort of droning sound a little bit, and then you hear the voice again. I am trapped here. Trapped. Take me with you. You can save me.
You're taking me with you right now.
As it says that, you feel the hands release. And your vision comes back. And you find yourself still crawled into this small crawl space with Lydia sort of holding some of the rocks up behind you. And you are compelled by this orb to remove it and take it with you.
Sweet, cool. I got 2 now.
How are you doing the art? Can I put these rocks down? They're kind of heavy.
Yep. Just give me 1 second. Just scurry on out of here. It looks like there's nobody in here. And
Okay.
they'll scuttle out.
Okay.
And as you're looking at the orbit, again, it's only about 10 inches, but now that it's whatever happened as you're holding it, it looks just like a regular crystal ball.
10
Is
inches in diameter?
Yep.
That's a big ball for a small gnome. That's cool.
Am I able to talk to Art?
Yeah, Art looks to be fine. Art crawled out. And now
I
has a
mean, like,
crystal
are
ball.
we in initiative or something
Oh
like
no,
that?
we're
Like,
not. It's depending on where just people felt it was going to be. Okay, we're going to start with this group and see. They might have been catching
Oh, okay.
it. Like if Fury said, "Oh, I'm going to look for them," Fury might have walked in while that was happening.
Okay, gotcha. Art, are you okay? You looked a little spooked there. Isn't what we
Yeah.
came to find. You heard a voice, but it turned out to be this globe.
Yes. It's a magic-y thing for sure. I'm not too sure what it is though. Can I see any magic radiating off of it like now?
Yeah, if your spell is still in effect, you still see the exact same thing. It is
Okay.
ever shifting. So you're seeing its conjuration, abjuration, evocation. It's just. It seems to almost. As you're looking at this, and now that you've got it out, this is staring at the sun. It is just
Wow.
bright and power radiating from this thing.
Okay. There's definitely a little bit of every sort of magic coming from it. So honestly, I'm good to take it with me, but I don't really know what it is.
Alright, well maybe you can identify it later. Before you use it or anything, I would recommend that because, spooky voice and head does not mean good things usually.
Yeah, probably not.
Alright, let's go find the others and see if Snowmoon's okay. And Burlock.
Guess so.
Okay, so as the two of you start heading back down that hallway, and it hasn't been all that long. So you guys are, again, it's not like you went on a long winding path. It's fairly easy for you to find your way back, and you separated outside the temple.
Okay.
So as you're heading back that way, we are going to jump over to Sarah, who has been rather, small child picked up by the suspenders, walked down, and Sarah, you see as you come out, you take a left-hand turn, start heading back towards the entrance that you guys came in and entered the tower through. As you get down towards there, he gets to those two matching sets of stairs that went down towards those large golden doors. Turns down one of them, walks down, opens the door, and immediately you get a very familiar sensation, as there are just rows of cells.
Oh, this again.
Comes walking down, opens the first cell, very sort of lightly just sort of tosses you in. Then says, well, when your friends come for you, we'll let you back out. Or if they decide they're done with you, we'll put you outside the walls at sunup. Closes the cell door, locks it, and turns and walks away.
Anyone in the cell with me, or is it?
Yeah, there's actually a couple of people.
Oh,
And as you're looking, they're sort of sitting around looking miserable. But as you can hear them, they're talking to each other. And they're talking about all the strange and wonderful adventures they've had. And you hear them talking about turning spirits and sending them running away. And breaking into walls and stealing ships. And they're rather tiny. They look very similar to halflings. But it seems like there's a constant sort of one-upmanship. You go, well, you murdered the mayor of this city. Well, I did this. Well, no. I did that.
Yeah, hold up my little head. I killed a man by slitting his ankles with a wine bottle.
As you say that, the two of them step back a little bit. Where'd you get the bottle? Was it magic? Was it
No,
given- did you inherit it? Was it an heirloom?
no, I was at a tavern.
Well, do you still have the wine bottle? Can I have it?
No,
No, I can't have it, or no, you don't have it.
why would I keep a bloody wine bottle? No,
Well, it's
no,
not,
that
is
was
it? If you killed somebody with it, it must have magical powers.
no. He just had very weak ankles. There was also the dragon that my compatriots and I killed. I never did go back for that.
Back for what?
Well, the hide of the dragon.
What? Dragons are big. That would have been hard for you to carry.
Well, I had a have ha- one of my friends was rather strong. He could have carried it. Would have been in poor taste though, so I decided not to. But
As
we
you're
did
talking
make
with
a-
this one, you do feel a hand rummaging around in your pocket.
I smacked the hand.
You say that, and the other one who had been talking jumps about 3 or 4 steps back. You dropped something. I was just putting it back.
Mm-hmm. There's nothing in there but a couple of snickerdoodles and some papers. Anyway, are we stuck here, or do one of you know how to open the door?
No, they use this one when they want to hold us. They put us out in the morning, though, so it's okay.
Well, I can't wait till morning. I think Artemis said we only had 10 days, and it's been a couple of days. Basically, I need to go back up there and get one of my friends. He's being a little difficult, and I'm just needing our cleric to speak to him a little bit and get him to stop being so stubborn. He's very stubborn.
Yeah, well, we're locked in. I can't help with that. Sorry.
How's the lock look? Like, is it just kind of like a normal one, or does it look like otherworldly?
Go ahead and make we'll call this an investigation check, as you're sort of trying to figure out about this lock.
I'm good at those. Never mind, you're going to dice jail. That's a 10 altogether.
As you're looking at it, best you can tell looking at it in this light, it looks like a pretty standard, jail cell. Doesn't look all that different from what you've seen back home.
I would
You
like
can
to
certainly
attempt
try.
to pick the lock.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a check with your thieves' tools using your dexterity bonus.
Are you proficient in it too?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
so that's 9 plus. Need to get the calculator. I can't do math. That's 18 altogether.
Okay. As you're going through and messing around, you hear as it pops open and the door swings open.
Well, that's better.
And immediately you hear the other, they didn't empty your pockets. They always take everything from us. So the two of them go sort of pushing past you, and they go in, and the exit is basically up and to the left. They turn
You're
right and
welcome.
they're running down to the end. They seem to be running down further down the hallway.
You're welcome.
Hey, thanks, I want my stuff.
No,
They're just running down the hall looking for...
you come to another realm, plane, world. Still, everybody has bad manners. Anyway, I'm gonna go back and relocate my friend's corpse.
Okay. So as you're starting to pick your way out and head back up, we will pan back over to Furia. So Furia, is you've completed these two spells. Murdoch is gone to get some rest. What would you be doing?
I'd be looking for somebody in charge, I guess, first of all, in this room.
Oh, okay. So within the room, the person in charge is probably the woman who is actually casting the spells. So she's sort of getting everything cleaned up. And she's definitely available for you to talk to if you'd like to.
Yeah, I'd make my way over. And excuse me, I just wanted to say thank you. We sort of came in here and you helped us out, like, without question.
It's you. You came in with one of ours, and it did not seem ill-treated. I mean, granted, he is from the temple in Palanthas, but again, the two are so closely tied together that we are familiar, and I can tell that your friends are not... At least this one, and gestures to Snowmoon. At least this one is not like any we've seen before. The other one who has gone to rest has the similar coloration to the enemy we've been fighting. But again, we know from them that when they are brought into being, they do not remain as they are. Specifically ones colored as your friend, you would not have a body if it was one of those abominations. So, we are taking on faith, but I would warn that some people may not have the same open mind.
Well, it's not the first time we've come into conflict with people looking down on other races. It's there in our own plane as well. I'm not sure you probably caught on. We're not from here.
Yes, it's... Well, again, given your friends and she gestures over to the your traveling companion for the last couple of days and says, I mean, he did sort of mention that... she looks around, sort of conspiratorially looking around people. Am I to understand you were traveling with a large cow person?
Well, yes, it's not really what we call them.
I apologize. We don't
that is
have
one way to
anyone
put
like
it.
that.
Well, I mean, they're not very common where I'm from either, but they're very nice. I've never met a badly mannered one.
Yes,
We call them...
Raifon said she
what was it?
seemed pleasant, but... It's very strange. I'm assuming you're attempting to give word to the Master of the Tower, then, to see if he can aid you in your return.
Well, I'm not even sure where this is, to be honest. I mean, is this world have a name?
Yes, so you are on... Well, I suppose I should say you are on Kryn. You're located in the current location is Solamnia. You're about 2 days' journey south of the Lord City of Palanthas.
Have you by any chance heard of anybody from here just disappearing by any chance?
Shortle looks down and chuckles a little bit. I mean, it happens rather frequently around here. I mean, the tower in Palanthas, you must have, well, if you ended up here, you must have some experience with spellcasters and the like, and the tower is one of the few places where they meet and practice.
Yeah, as far as I know, magic in my world, plane, I'm really not all used to this, is much more. I mean, we don't really, as far as I know, have groups or factions. I'd have to ask my party's wizard. I mean, I don't even know if they would know. But would you? The other thing I wanted to know is that mirror object. Rin said it came from a tower. Is that your tower or somebody else's tower?
No, that is not from ours. If it is what I believe it is, and again, without it being present, or how it would have ended up out in the fields is beyond me. But there are tales of that tower. The Lord Mayor of Palanthas is probably best, as him and his family have ruled here for the last good length of time. He is probably the best one to discuss the history. But if it is the item from the tower, it is a doorway to the realm of the gods.
And if that's so, I didn't like the god that I saw. It's a 5-headed dragon.
That would be Takesis. She is the... shall we call her the queen of all chromatic dragons? And the most powerful of all the deities aligned with darkness.
Not one I'd want to go up against. Are dragons common here? I mean, more common, I guess you wouldn't know. Are they common here? Well, we stopped this Takesis coming through. We did see a blue dragon fly out of a portal that we weren't able to stop. And had a rider on it. Is that normal?
She looks down a little bit. Unfortunately, there's more than this. Why don't you go collect your friends? It seems we have need of a minor history lesson before, if you are to be wandering around.
That might help a great deal.
Yes, it will save us from having me repeating myself, or you having to remember and repeat.
All right.
But
Do
your
you
other
know where
friend-
that guard took the small one, the halfling, that you
Oh,
seem to be confused with something called a kender?
Yes, the Kenda was brought down to the jail cells. I can't have the little
They're not a
thieves-
kender, they're a halfling. I'm sorry, go ahead.
She matches what here are known as Kenda. They are... They don't mean any ill by it, but they have nimble fingers and Kenda don't really have a concept of ownership. If they see something, they walk away with it.
Well, my halfling friend, they're not as grabby as all of that. But I'll warn you, if she is able to get out of that cell, which I wouldn't put it past her, she tends to be very emotional about people and not getting her way with people, especially when they're dead. So, if she does get out, I bet she is going to make her way back here. So if I'm going to go find my other two companions, maybe keep an eye on, point over at Snowmoon's body, just in case.
And she gives a little bit of a nod and finish up, and then starts it. And you can see as after the ritual, she's sort of taken a little bit of time trying to dress Snowmoon or make Snowmoon a little bit more presentable. No, sort of hands folded, sheet covering the majority of them, just doing things that it seems her are within her religious beliefs.
Yeah, and I'd leave and go look for, see where Art and Lydia wandered off to.
And so as you start walking out, you can actually see coming down from probably about 30 or 40 feet into this long hallway, the two of them walking down towards you.
I would whisper to Art, do you want to keep that a secret? For now.
I mean, maybe for right now, since we're
Yeah, just until you find out what it is.
yeah, we're not
Contractually
exactly in a
obligated.
familiar place. But listen here, lawyer, you were dead. Does that make that the contract is null and void, huh? Huh? I have some questions for you.
We need a
Anyways.
written copy of that contract. There's going to be a death clause in there.
Yeah.
That's
Upon
the
death,
other
this
thing I
contract is
didn't.
null and
That's
void.
the other thing I didn't get on Snowmoon. It's like you're contractually obligated to aid this party.
At least
Uh,
let's not tell. I don't. The citizens of wherever we are that I just found this random thing. Yeah, at least for now.
Right.
So did you put it away anywhere, or are you just sort of walking through just...
No, I'm gonna put it in my satchel, but
Okay.
oof, it's a big thing.
Go ahead, you and Lydia, make a perception check.
Oh dear.
You ever try to like smuggle a basketball?
18.
Okay.
Well, I mean, 13?
Okay. It was actually a little easier for you because you were the one actively doing it. Both of you notices Art sort of opens up the satchel, takes you over and goes to like drop it into it. You both have that sort of weird moment as Art's starting to let go and sort of get it into it. You know, much like Ink said, you know, I'm trying to sneak a watermelon out of the store by sticking it under my shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And the minute it goes into the bag, both of you have this very weird sensation
Great.
as the bag doesn't bulge. As you look down into the satchel, which is not arcane in any way, shape, or form. And you can see the orb sitting within it. Leaving a
Like
very
this
sort of
thing.
strange sensation. Did it shrink or did you grow?
That thought comes into my mind. I look around and see if, like, for reference points, did I grow? Did I am I bigger? Did it happen? Finally! My
I
growth
just
spurt.
need to be bigger. I need to blend in with the crowd a little more. I usually hit my head on door frames.
As the two of you are looking around, you don't get the sensation that anything changed. And you can
Dang
see
it.
Fury up ahead.
Dunbar told me.
What were you guys doing? What did you wander off for?
We thought we heard a kitten yelling for help.
A kitten more important than Murdoch and Snow.
Well, this at least. Lydia, we can
How are
tell
they?
Feria. It's fine. We can.
Art heard a voice in his head and their head, and we followed it and found something we'll talk about later though. So how's Snowmoon?
You,
And you can now see
well,
Sarah is starting to charge up as well, moving very purposefully.
Oh, good, the group's all here. Where's
Um,
Murdoch?
we talked to Snowmoon through
Oh,
a
good.
spell, and Snowmoon said that he thought his honor would not. He doesn't feel like he would be able to come back. It would be dishonorable, and
Allegedly. Allegedly.
he made his choice to stay dead and apologizes for inconveniences and says he's sorry, but that's
Do I
where
see
he's
the
going to
body?
stay. Murdoch came back and it
Good.
collapsed, and I sent them off to bed.
Do I see Snowmoon's body on like an altar?
Not where you are now. You could if you go into the temple. You guys are still sort of all out
Yeah,
in the
Oh,
secret
okay.
area.
I'll
Come over
storm into
here.
the. I'll pretty much storm into the temple.
I'm walking with Lydia. It's Feria, I'm telling you. He's being held by somebody, and we need to find a way to get him back. And then I was rudely thrown into jail.
Well, I'll have you thrown into jail again if you do not respect what Snowmoon wants.
Already in there.
As you walk in, you can see a probably youngerish towards like mid-aged human woman standing as she starts to hear the commotion and people starting to barge. Shorty gets in between the door and where Snowmoon's body is laying.
I gently push her to the side.
Lydia's all right. You can let her through.
She'll hear
She
Inferior say
wasn't
that she'll
here
step
before.
aside.
I go and stare Snowmoon in the face. I say, coward. You're a coward. You couldn't get up and save us? You couldn't get up and help us for the rest of our quest? What we're all working for? You couldn't come back for us. You are less of a man than I thought you were. And I'll leave.
Okay. Those of you who are still in the room can see the woman is a little taken aback, and as Lydia's left is sort of looks at you a little bit, Furia, then looks back over towards Lydia as she's sort of retreating out the door, and then looks back at you, Furia, and then looks down at the little one, at Sarah, and then just sort of cocks an eyebrow at you like, "You're sure it was the little one I was supposed to watch out for?"
Some people can take death very hard, and she wasn't here when we were asking Snowmoon. Let her say her words.
We all have to deal in it our own ways.
I'm looking over at Sarah like,
I'm
you
just,
know, giving you side eye.
I, the player, need like a moment for the clapback that Lydia just did.
Yeah, sorry.
So as that's going through, as Sarah seems to be a little stunned, the car's going to take a little bit of time, and then realizing that Murdoch has been sent off to go to sleep, is going to offer the group of you use of the soldiers' quarters. It's basically, think of it sort of like it was sleeping on the ship. It's just a large room, rows of bunks. Gives the group of you an option to sleep for the evening, so that so that the other member of your party can be present for the discussion and everything, and not basically not being forcibly woken back up as they're already feeling a little out of it.
Thank you very much. I think after some discussion, we might be heading to the city. There was some mention of a person from our world asking questions there that we might want to check out as well.
Yes,
You would not be with the party still.
You've
Just,
wandered.
you know.
Yep. Yes.
Yeah, I'm saying this to the priestess.
Okay.
Yes, there's a dwarf there that's... We've had representatives from the hill dwarves and some from the mountain come out, and none recognize this person or their family name. And they keep mentioning strange locations. Unfortunately, they were causing a bit of a scene in the city. There were a few rather, shall we say, strong disagreements. There may or may not have been some damage caused. Bit of a temper on this one, but again, if I found myself randomly hoisted from my home, they were just going to lock them up in the city jail, but the high cleric at the temple in Palanthus thought perhaps was best if they housed them there, as this way they could attempt to treat them, as well as prevent general hysteria in the jail cells, as this person was wont to create.
Well, when we make it there, we can look for them. Maybe give them a little bit of peace of mind that the several of the locations mentioned we did recognize. So.
If you've recognized them, then that is a wonderful thing. Perhaps you can take them with you. On this thing for...
I'm sure the city would like that very much.
Yes, I'm quite certain the Lord Mayor would enjoy that. If you could do anything about the Kenda getting into the city, he would probably proclaim you patron saints of it.
I'm not sure that that's a problem for us. But...
Probably not. But I'll let you speak with your friends and see whether or not you want us to have this conversation in the morning, or whether or not you'd rather just fill in your friend on your own.
I think everybody being there will be a benefit.
She looks down towards Sarah and Art and gives a little bit of a nod. So then we will do it first thing in the morning. I will take care of holding your friend's body here for you and give it the proper treatment so nothing happens to it.
Thank you.
I'll be staying here tonight.
She very pointedly looks over at Fury and then looks over at Ryfron. Would you please go and advise the commander that I'm going to need a couple of sentries for the temple this evening? You're welcome to stay in the room here, but there will be guards posted.
Fine. Guess scooch a chair up to where Snowmoon is and take a seat.
Okay. And that we're going to pan out to Lydia, who has just wandered off. Where would you be going, Lydia?
In the city.
You're heading towards the city?
Outside the city.
So
Are we on the outskirts?
Right now, you are in basically a massive tower. You're not even at the city yet. The city's still 2 days north.
I walk outside the tower and try to find like a copse of trees.
Okay.
And
Go
then
ahead
I
and
would
make
like.
a perception check
Oh,
for
okay.
me.
Perception.
Yeah, so right now you're in a fairly mountainous area.
Okay. 30-20.
Oh, okay. As you wander off,
Mhm.
it takes you a good 15-20 minute walk
That's fine.
heading towards the city to find, and it's not an overly impressive one.
That's also
You've probably got somewhere in the range of 8 to 10 trees in this little sort of almost rectangular sort of stretch. It's not even like a an actual grove. It's just sort of along this
Does
base
it
of the
look like
mountain.
there's anyone around?
As you're looking, doesn't seem to be.
I'm gonna call lightning and start striking down the trees.
Okay.
And that's what I'm gonna do with my evening.
Alrighty then. Okay, as those of you who are within the tower, as you're getting ready and spending the evening, is there anything in specific you would be doing?
Not overly specific.
Oh, okay. What you got?
I'm a very hard woman to keep down. As soon as I've gotten a short rest of about an hour in me, she would be willing herself to get up.
Okay.
Not get a full long rest yet.
Perfect.
So I don't know where the hell I am. Actually, if I do that.
So, that's right, you had passed out. So as you sort of will yourself awake, you find yourself in, again, what you would take to be in a barracks of some sort. There's just rows and rows of bunks. You're laying on a cot, not uncomfortable, but not the nicest you've been in either. You're getting the sense this is probably where soldiers sleep.
What's with me and being in things that are not fully uncomfortable, but just slightly lately? This is literally equivalent to hell, apparently. Am I alone in here right now?
As you're looking around, you do see a couple of the cots a little further down the room. You can see some individuals look like they're sleeping. Yeah, that does not appear that there are a huge number, there's not a huge number of people walking around in this area right now.
Did Furia leave all my things by my bed?
Yeah, I would have asked them to take them with you.
Okay.
Yeah, so all your belongings are right beside you.
Okay. Well, she will sit up and groan because she is still very much so. I used all of my hit dice and it did not bring me back to full. So, she will, if no one's waiting over her bed, she's going to disrobe herself, get out of the nice, pretty new suit that now has a giant hole in the chest.
Oh.
Take a moment to look and see how the wound on her chest healed up as best she can. I don't think I have a mirror. And then get dressed back into my old clothes. Actually needing to use my cane to walk now. I need to find my body, but I don't know where I am. I'm going to have a dagger just sort of held behind me while I walk with my cane, and I'm gonna see if I can try and find somebody.
Oh, okay. So as you start moving around, you do see that there is very obviously an exit to this room that's probably about 20 feet from you. If you start heading out that direction, you can hear that there are voices out in sort of outside the exit way. Sounds like they're probably a little distance off, and you can hear it sounds like two individuals talking. Just seem to be running their mouth a little bit, sort of water cooler talk.
The last person I remember seeing is Furia. I'll try and throw out a couple feeler message spells
Oh, okay.
to see if I can try and ping Furia with hello. Furia, are you here? I don't know where I am. I'm very confused.
So,
Do I get these messages?
so this is
Furia,
it's been about
Furia.
an hour. So what would you be doing? So at this point, basically, you've finished up everything. You've had your conversation. Lydia's said her piece and walked off.
I would have been finding guards to let them know what the lady told me to tell them, and then making my way over to the barracks, as it's been a long day.
So then, yes,
Maybe
you would
it's
be.
not.
Yeah, you would start hearing these because you, after letting the guards know and them funneling it through to the commander and everything, you'd probably be heading towards the barracks where Clark just advised you'd be able to rest and can hear you'd be getting them from Murdoch.
You're awake, is what you'd hear back.
I think so. Everything hurts. I don't know who any of these people are.
Where are you?
I look like I'm in some sort of bunkhouse, or there's a bunch of cots.
Sounds like I'm on my way to where you are.
Are we safe here, Furia?
I don't know. They did help us, though.
Then diplomacy may still be an option, which is my forte. I will wait for you then.
I'll come in, find an empty bunk nearby, sit on it.
Just make sure, Art, would you be going with Furia to the bunkhouse?
Probably. Yeah.
Okay. So the three of you are now together.
Artemis.
Hi.
Hello. Come here, dear. I am very tired.
Hey.
Surprised to
her
see
arms
you
up.
up so early.
I'm a
It hasn't
little
been
bit
that
hard to
long.
keep down. Give Artemis a very tight hug. And she says, I saw you. I saw you using that spell that I taught you.
I'm sorry that I couldn't do it earlier.
She tilts your chin up and she says, you did everything right. You made the best out of a very bad situation. I'm sorry that I didn't keep you all safe like I said that I would.
I didn't get it all right.
What do you mean?
The Snow Moon. He's gone.
Then that wasn't a dream.
And I tried my best, but
No.
I couldn't. And I'm sorry. I'm supposed to be the wizard. I'm supposed to have spells, but I couldn't.
As it has been explained to me, Artemis, even the most convincing words were not going to be enough to dissuade him. You
Snow
did.
Moon does not want to be here any longer. That is why he's not here. It's not because of you. Or any of us.
And I had some choice words for him, if I remember correctly. Or did I have some choice words for him?
It was
That man
quite a
deserved a bit of a
magnificent
chastisement.
speech. Lydia also was quite upset. And Sarah,
Yeah.
Sarah is convinced that Snow Moon is not here because somebody is preventing him from being here. I don't believe that's the case.
Miss, save your tears and your sorries. There are still people that we need to save. Your mother at the top of the list.
Yeah. We need to get back to where we're supposed to be first.
In the morning, the head priestess, I think, said that she would offer us a history lesson of this area. Maybe we could find out more on how to get back. There was also that dwarf in the city that is from our area. Maybe he could give us some hints.
So we truly are no longer in our home.
Right. The moon last night, the moons were what we saw in the projection room back at our house. The sky, the stars were the same.
There's so much that I feel like I need to do, so many things that I need to say, so many... Oh, but everything hurts.
Everything can wait a day.
All right. But I saw you, Artemis.
That's good.
And you're still here. Okay. Are the others coming?
I don't know. Sarah decided to stay the night in the room with Snow Moon. I'm not sure why, but why not? Lydia. I'm doing it now too. Left. I'm not sure where she went, but I'm just going to let her deal with it the way that she's going to deal with it.
Sarah, I think I know why. At least, I have an inclination. Paul, if this means I get to lay down for a little bit longer, that would actually be wonderful. I'm assuming it was this high priestess that performed the ritual that got me back to you all. I believe I owe her a thank you. So...
I already thanked her, but you can do it again. In the morning.
Right. And so Snowman is still in the temple.
She's taking care of him until we decide what. I'm not sure how we're going to tackle that problem.
I'll give it some thought. All right. She's going to sort of like lay back onto her bed and stare up at the ceiling. I really wish I had gotten that last bastard. I missed. I hope that one didn't get away.
No, other than the one that they're all dead. I made sure of that.
He owes me a pair of glasses. Okay. She goes back and lays down.
Furia and Art. Anything the two of you would be doing during the long rest?
I would probably, after an hour or so, turn into a white fluffy cat, go hop on over to where Art is. So, other than that, that's it.
Okay.
I'd probably take that ball, that big orb,
Okay.
out and just kind of look it over. And trying to figure out what happened when I put it in the satchel and took it out, but
Okay, are you trying to identify it? Are you trying to attune to it? What specifically is Art doing?
Scientific method. Let's try a couple experiments. That doesn't work. Then we'll move to identify.
Oh, okay. As you spend a little time looking at it, take it out of the bag, put it back in. Every time you do it, you have that same sort of weird sensation as you're pulling it out, because it's just shy of a foot across. You put it into the opening, which is about a foot, and all of a sudden it looks like you dropped in a tennis ball. But you reach in, and you still need 2 hands to pull it out, and it comes out, and it's the same size.
Definitely weird. But yeah, I'd probably then cast Identify.
Okay. And would this be cast as a ritual, or do you have it prepared?
I'd probably do it as a ritual.
Oh, okay. So you're setting up your ritual. We're going to pan for a couple of quick moments then. Over to Sarah. Who, at this point, Sarah, you've got everything set up, and there were a couple of points that the High Cleric had asked you to, slide your chair over a little bit, as they seem to be taking, I don't want to call it precautions, but like taking care of Snow Moon's body. So making sure it's rest right, in proper position, applying different ointings to make sure it isn't going to smell, degrade, decompose, anything like that during the time as you guys are trying to figure it out. So as you're sitting there, it seems they're being, they're being very respectful with it. Although you would also notice that there is every once in a while a little bit of a sort of side eye from the 2 sentries that are in the room. And you would be aware just from the couple of conversations you guys had with Ryfun on the way here, that here, dragon people are referred to as draconians. They don't leave bodies, and they are just nasty SOBs. So the fact that they have one laid out and being shown respect in this cleric's temple is a little weird for them. But they're not commenting, but you do see that sort of like half hesitation, like,
I guess mostly I'm just gonna be watching what they're doing, like making sure that if they do something I don't like, kind of give them like the granny side eye.
the guards, the clerics, or just everybody?
The people who are like preparing his body.
Sure, definitely. So you're watching them very closely. Do me a favor. Go ahead and make a religion check for me.
Oh, that's not too bad. 17.
Oh, okay. So you haven't spent a huge amount of time around people like being prepared for funeral rites and whatnot. But from what little you've picked up and seen around, and the way you've seen Lydia respond to certain situations, everything you're watching through, they seem to be doing this with full honor and respect to Snow Moon's remains.
Good.
So again, the only sort of, again, that hesitant side eye that just sort of like, this is weird, you catch is from the guards.
There's a corpse.
Oh, there's a corpse, and it's a dragon thing, and hell, it ain't a statue that turned to ash. It ain't exploded. It ain't looked like me or you or somebody else. No, it's not what they're used to.
I'd
You can
like
see
to
they're
hand
doing
out.
their best to be sort of stay professional in their armor, but
I passed a couple snickerdoodles. Some peanut butter cookies. To the guards and clerics and anyone that seems to be hungry.
and they all seem to take it from you.
Good,
And then
good.
as you start walking away, you do hear the guards sort of mutter to each other. I wonder where she stole this from.
Crocker Betty. Um, about how long does it take for them to like finish or get to a point where like the room's a bit more cleared, or the
So
clerics can like
the
stay?
clerics themselves are gone probably about an hour and a half, 2 hours after your party's
Okay.
left. The guards don't move.
Okay. There's more cookies for you boys if you give me the room. If you could give an old lady a moment to mourn.
As the Druids sort of look over at each other. I'm very sorry, man, but the commander would no. The high cleric was very specific that she wanted guards in this room, and the commander told us we are not to leave this room under any circumstances until our replacements come in, and then they'll be in here until the morning.
I'd like to begin loudly and out of tune singing some sort of religious hymns in Halfling as annoyingly as possible.
Okay, go ahead and make a performance check.
14.
Okay. Okay. You're singing, and you can see one of them, every couple of notes, cringes a little bit. The other one is, you can hear him just sort of muttering under his breath. But whatever, it seems to be whatever he's doing, he's somehow managing to just sort of drown you out and ignore you.
Okay, that's not working.
But one of them definitely is irritated.
All right. I'm just gonna stop and kind of huff at them like, fine. Fine. I'm gonna make it so that like my back is to them,
Okay.
and am I able to like see Snowmoon's like hand?
Now his hands are currently under a sheet, and they're sort of crossed, resting on his chest.
I would like to reach under the sheet and hold a hand.
Okay.
Or fingers, however much my tiny
Yeah.
grainy hands can hold.
Easy enough to do.
I don't really know what to call you at this point because we have both names for you, but so I'm just gonna use both. Snowmoon Balazar. I am very cross-eyed with you right now, but I'm not as crossed as I would be because I feel like you are probably trapped. I hope you are probably trapped. I haven't done this in years. I thought you have unfinished business. You have things you need to do, and I thought it would be easy because we have the magic. Lydia tried. These people tried, and you just said no, and I didn't even know there was a spell like that. If I did, there might have been a chance for Albert, I and I know you here I am again rambling about my husband, but still, you we gave you a chance and you said no. I if someone's keeping you, I I'd appreciate a sign or something. There's still recipes for me to make for you. There's we Art Artemis's mother. We still have to. I didn't want to bury anyone else yet. It, I thought it was easy. I joined a group of pirates and it would be fun. And I haven't felt that free since my golden years, but then I started caring, and I thought that was enough. I thought caring was what we should do, and then we were pirates, and we just would leave. So I stopped caring, and now I care again. And now you're not here, and I hate you because I don't hate you right now. I'm 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 hoping someone's keeping you there, because then there's something to fight. But if it's just you, then I'm going to miss you. I'm really going to miss you. And I'm gonna put his hand back in position and lift up my glasses and wipe my eyes and give him a little pet on the head and a little kiss on the cheek. And tuck him in.
As you're doing that, you can hear a couple of sniffles and coming from the doorway where the two guards are standing.
You're not supposed to be listening.
They not 20 the check. And the two of them, and the one who was managing to sort of drown you out, walks over and very sort of gently touches your shoulder, once, twice, and then doesn't say anything, but turns and walks back over to the doorway.
Gonna have myself a little silent granny cry. And then ask the DM to switch to another character so I can have a real player cry.
And we find our way over to Lydia. Outside. Do me a favor, Lydia. Roll a percentile for me. Roll a D100.
Ooh. Yeah, look at my other. 73.
Oh, okay. So out of those roughly like 8 or 9 trees, you managed to knock down 7 of them.
Ooh.
Just from that constant boom, boom, boom.
Yeah. Is there a tavern or inn nearby?
No, the closest, you would have no idea.
Yeah.
You do know that other than the tower, which is about a half an hour behind you, the closest village, or the closest city, is almost 2 days' travel to the north.
Oh. Lydia can't find any booze. Alright. She's gonna take a level of exhaustion and sit there all night and thaumaturgy little lightning waves. Little waves like thunder and lightning. Right in front of her.
Okay.
She doesn't want to sleep.
We'll pan back over to our last action for this evening, which is Artemis, who has been setting up candles and casting a ritual. As you cast your Identify spell, it's a very sort of odd sensation to you, Art, this time. As normally you're used to just getting like a short burst of information. Whereas with this time you seem to be, it feels like somebody is literally pulled the top of your head off and is just pouring information into you.
Oh.
As you've cast this, you come to realize that this is an extremely powerful arcane artifact. And what you come to know is that this item, once you've attuned to it successfully, gives you the ability to cast a number of different spells that are not typically wizard spells, for some of them. And within, it also has an innate ability. Once you have attuned to this object and mastered it, it has the ability to summon dragons within a 40-mile radius.
That's crazy.
If they fail the check, they will come to you and they will do your bidding. They cannot help themselves.
Oh my gosh.
In some cases, if the dragon is partnered with a rider, that bond may be strong enough to aid them in, like, resisting your call. But for most dragons, they cannot help themselves.
Hey. Wow. All right.
And you would also learn the spells it gives you the ability to cast are, hold on, I gotta find where I noted that. Kevin. There we are. Okay. So it gives you the ability to cast Detect Magic at will.
Cool.
Cast a 5th level Cure Wounds. Gives you the ability to cast Death Ward.
Nice.
And there's
It's a little
also,
too late.
unfortunately, but hey. And it also gives you the ability to scry 3 times a day, utilizing it.
Wow.
There are also, you do know that it does have some other abilities to it, but your Identify spell would not go further enough to let you know exactly what they are. But you would know, given how powerful it is, that there would be probably a couple of beneficial aspects, and there may be some detrimental ones as well.
Cool. Okay. This is semantics, but does this have like, does it run out over the course of the day and replenish, or what is the...
So the spells that you have the ability to cast, it does have mechanically it does have charges.
Yeah.
It recharges a certain, it starts with 7 charges and recharges every day at dawn. I can't remember what I said it. Give me a second. I want to say it was 1d4. That sounds right, but I just want to make sure.
Lydia can multi-class. Doesn't have to be a healer anymore.
Where are my charges? You still get. I know you're in here. Okay, 7 charges, and it regains 1d4 plus 3 every day at dawn. So realistically, your worst case scenario is you would regain 4 charges every dawn.
Okay.
If you use all of the charges, you just don't have access to the spells. Doesn't do anything to the item.
Okay.
But not
Cool.
all abilities require charges.
Do the charges stack?
No, I think it's just
No.
up to 7 charges.
Yeah, it has
Okay.
it has 7. That's its cap. And again, that's all information you get. You would have access to all of that, assuming you were able to attune to it.
Art would probably just take a couple moments to process all of that and just kind of, I guess, rack their brain as to what this thing was doing there. And I don't know. They'd probably just have a think about a lot of things.
Okay. So that we will go ahead and take our break here for this evening,
Cool.
as it is just after 9:30. And man, this is about as great point as we're going to get. So those of you, when we get back, those of you who are sleeping this evening will have the benefits of a long rest. Those who are staying up will have 1 level of exhaustion. Well, 1 level more if you already had one. So with that, folks at home, do not go anywhere. We'll be back in just a few moments. And before I push over, I just want to give a big shout out and a thank you to Lycan Mage for subscribing this evening.
Yay!
So,
Thank you, like
Thank
me.
you.
thank you very much. We will be back in just a few moments. So don't go anywhere.
BRB.
back, everyone. Thank you for bearing with us during that short break. We are back. Our party has, well, for some of them, has completed a long rest. Actually, we are going to start outside the tower with Lydia, who is probably a little bit tapped.
Yep.
A little exhausted.
Yep.
The sun is starting to come up. Would you be heading back into the tower, or would you still be staying out there?
I'd be heading back to the tower very ashamedly. Head down, shoulders hunched. Just completely drained.
Okay. So we find ourselves as the rest of you are awake and actually, Sarah, would you have slept?
I would have, but I wouldn't have like gotten myself all comfy. I'm just gonna say I passed out in the chair. Did the old
Okay.
grandma sleep?
Okay.
Just resting my eyes.
I'm just resting my eyes while the pie bakes.
Do me a favor, go ahead and roll a d20 for me.
Sure. 17.
Okay. You have some cricks and, you sound like somebody's, Oh, really, I only got one knuckle that time.
I'm made out of glow sticks.
Yeah, basically. You are a pile of glow sticks as you start standing up and making your way out.
Oh.
Eventually, though, the four of you who were inside the tower sort of all start meeting together in the middle. You can see Lydia is actually walking back in from the north. A little hunched over, head down, but eventually the five of you meet up again.
I'd like to just go over and like gently put a hand on Lydia's arm.
I'm sorry, Granny. No one should have had to see that.
No, it's fine, dear. We all deal with it differently. You know, my Albert, when his pet goat died, he went and rolled a card through the mail office in a wild case of DUI.
Ah, that makes more sense now. I just thought he rode his cart through the... Anyway, yes, let's get drunk. Sure, okay.
It's a little early to get completely wasted.
I'll put it off for 2 hours, but then I'm fine to booze.
As you say that, the High Cleric does come over to the group of you. Oh, that seems... Everyone's up and looks over at you, Murdoch. And again, this is your first time really seeing this reaction, but as she turns and looks at you, you watch those eyes like slightly widen a little bit at first. And then almost like, it's okay.
I try to stand up a little bit straighter.
Glad to see you, well, I would say up and well, but perhaps just up at the moment. So looking a little rough, but...
I am leagues better than when I first came into your doors, and I take it that much, if not all of that, has to do with you.
I don't know if I'd go quite that far. It was Our Lady, but your friends were able to bring you to us within enough time that we were able to aid in your return.
Well, if I may, I would just like to, now that I can speak for myself, formally extend my gratitude for the service that you performed, and also, perhaps, present a message from one that you may know. I spoke with a man named Paladin, where I was.
As you say that, her face goes pale. He is the head of the pantheon. He's my lady, the Blessed Healer Mashakal, whose medallion I wear. She is his consort. They are the two of the most powerful deities of good in our world.
Then take it truthfully into your heart that the service that you provided, he was happy to reward your faith. And he makes wonderful tea.
You say that, you can see there's a small tear sort of coming down the inside of her eye. She's just sort of... Thank you.
Thank you.
Let us go. I have some of the people bringing us in some. Well, it's not much. They're mostly soldiers here, but bringing us in some food and drink. There is much I need to pass along to you before you continue along. And sort of escorts the group of you in, and you go back into the temple. And again, you can see Snow Moon's body is still laying there. She's draped over. And she turns and heads towards the back area of the temple. Opens the door, and you're brought into a small, looks like sitting room. Table, a number of chairs around it. Invites everyone to take a seat. The food and beverage should be here in a few moments, but let me, as I offered to your friend yesterday, give you a little bit of information on where you are, as she has advised me that you're not from round here. You find yourselves a mere 2 days south of Palanthas, the Lord's city in the land of Solamnia. If you are seeking a way home, there is the Tower of High Sorcery in Palanthas. It is one of the locations that the Conclave of Wizards practices out of. There is a small shop located in the northern part of the city that can get word to the master of the tower. And if anyone would be able to arrange for your travel, it would be him. As you may be aware, as my friend here tells me that you have aided in the destruction of some of them. For you, my dear woman, I would be mindful, as your appearance is very similar to the Draconians that worship Takesis. They are foul abominations born of dark magic and dark rituals worshipping said queen.
I see. Well, I am not one to have been shy from many a glance, but this sounds like I'm going to have quite a difficult time making my way through your lands. Is there a way to mitigate that, or are we just resting upon my diplomatic laurels, so to speak, to get me through? I would very much not like to wind up on one of your altars in the near future again, if it can be avoided.
Oh, I could actually help you with that, Murdoch. You see, I have this makeup kit. We're going to need a couple hours, but I think I could work wonders.
We will send... We have... As I offered... Well, actually, you were not here for that. I apologize. In your journeys to Palanthas, we have a small group of these soldiers who are going to accompany you. They will make sure that the road is safe, and ensure that you arrive safely. They will also bring with them, especially given your friends in high places, I will pen a personal letter for them to provide to the Lord Mayor of Palanthas for you. This will ensure that you do not run into any official difficulties within the city. Although please keep in mind that there is no way for us to effectively advise every resident within. If any of you or yours have the ability to alter your appearance, it may be beneficial, but if that is not something you're comfortable with, again, perhaps working with the letter that I pen, if you do not mind an escort, they could probably provide one of the city guards to travel with you to ensure that there is no misunderstanding.
And is it a nature of my physiology in general, or is this more a coloration issue that could be aided?
Well,
I know not much about these draconians.
So they are, from what we are told, they are always metallic in color.
Oh.
Which is why your friend was such an oddity to begin with to Rifle. Is it is not often we see one of the chromatic. Given how they are, well, rumor has how they are created. I cannot see that her using her own dragons to create these beings.
It's a little bit of a shift where we come from. It's normally the other way around. This is all very much to take in, and I don't think that my brain is all put together yet.
Given the state you
Yeah,
were when
we
you
need to
arrived yesterday, probably not.
A disguised self or some other spell like Lydia always uses?
Never been one for deceiving from the outset. I much like to lead with a good foot forward, so I've never had that magic be of much use to me. It's not in my repertoire.
We can provide you some robes if you wish to hide a more traditional method, but
At the mention of
Just
that,
might-
she's kind of like,
Maybe it would ease going through some areas and then we can, not be disguised when we get to where we're going. I wouldn't like the general population to freak out at the sight of you.
But you also made mention of, during your things, about a blue dragon with a rider. That is probably the Blue Lady. She rides upon a massive blue dragon by the name of Sky. She is one of the more powerful in the Dark Queen's armies. Here we refer to them as the High Lords. Other than her dragon, who is rumored to be able to travel into the Grey to other realms beyond our own, she also is in league with the Death Knight. If she has not put her eye on you and just passed by without immediately destroying you, I would count yourselves lucky and move along before she finds you again.
I look at Lydia, who
Considering
attempted to
what-
banish her.
Yeah, it's like we're both looking at Lydia. Considering what Lydia did, yes, we are probably very lucky.
She looks over at you, Lydia, a little bit. I'm better off not knowing, probably. Anyway, that gives you the majority of the lay of what you need to know while you're here, especially if you're planning on departing quickly. If you have more specific questions, if you can find a way to attract his interest. There is the scholar Astinius in the great libraries in the city. He has recorded all of existence so far. He is quite the enigma for most people. They say he was here before the beginning of recorded history, for he is the one who started recording it. Some think he is one of the gods themselves. Others claim a servant or an avatar. No one quite knows. But he spends all his time in his library. His aesthetics and servants don't let him be disturbed. It is rare for anyone to be deemed of interest enough to speak with him. Though beings from other worlds may warrant such a cause.
We will have to go see what it's all about when we get there. It would be interesting to know if he keeps track of people from other realms. It's rather mind-boggling.
Only he would be able to answer that for you. But now we come to the difficult questions. As we have a body in the other room. A fallen friend. Do you wish us to... I do not know where you come from. I do not know what service is appropriate for one such as he. Do you have plans on what you wish to do with his remains?
You know, Snowmoon would have loved funeral pyre.
Well,
I mean, I'm not a dragonborn, but Murdoch, do you
know.
have an opinion?
I have not been with a clan for ever. And I know not what Snowmoon's clan would do, probably different things depending on their role, such as he a warrior. Though I don't think that he would much care for doing the traditional choice of his clan. Funeral pyre would befit that which I knew of what we of Brass would have done. The ashes would be carried or given to normally a partner or split between a partner and a next of kin. Such as a lover and a child, for them to either keep in other members of the family in the same place, or to spread. Normally, you would be able to ask, and these things would have been prearranged, but he is not home. But I think that he always said that when I spoke with him, when we had drinks, that he was at home with us. So maybe, perhaps, we should take him along.
Sounds good.
We can arrange to have the body cremated for you.
Mm-hmm.
And provide the ashes separated into 5 vessels, so you can carry them with you should you choose.
If you have drink, if you have wine, I think that would also be appropriate.
I don't. Snowmoon never drank.
For ceremonial purposes, less for giving to him.
Okay. I thought we were pouring one out for fallen homies, and he wouldn't like that. Alright.
Well, in my clan, it was typical to spill, though not to drink, but it's a sense of, it's about the cycle of life and returning to the earth, less about intoxication.
So She looks
Speaking
so-
of
What's a homie?
It's a person that usually stays home, much like a housewife or house husband.
He was like all of our house husband.
I think that was mostly you, Murdoch.
You say so.
but
It was. That wasn't supposed to be said out loud.
neither was mine.
What? I'm sure all of you maybe already had your words. I believe I was gone for a while, but if you would like to do it in a more official sense, maybe we could prepare for that and let the business be done so that we can continue on, because there is still work to do.
Yes, we can prepare the ceremony. It will be held this evening. It'll give us time to prep everything and get the containers and everything prepared, and you shall, if you'd like, you can go back out to the main chapel and say a words, or if you'd rather wait until this evening, it is your choice.
I will have something prepared for the ceremony.
Gives a little nod, and as you guys have sort of been having this conversation and snacking on food, is there anything anyone would be doing during the day as they're getting this all prepped?
Looking for non-ceremonial beverages to get drunk on.
Go ahead and make an investigation check.
Ooh, 18 on the die, so that means 18.
Okay. So you disappear. It takes you a good couple of hours as you are scouring through basically what, as you are more the one really wandering this place now, you're realizing that this is literally like a military encampment. This tower is designed to block the road from the south to prevent people from reaching the city. But eventually you do find a group of younger soldiers that are sort of huddled around this tub way down, sort of tucked in the back area of the barracks, basically making bathtub hooch. And as you start getting closer that way, you are definitely picking up the nose. This is basically ethanol. This moonshine they're making.
Yeah. I'll flick over a couple gold and be like, so can I have glass here and a tumbler full for the road?
As they look at the couple of gold. Okay. Another 5 silver and you got it.
I'll give him 5 silver.
The two of them look at you and start to chuckle a little bit. And definitely give you a couple of cups.
Okay. Take some hearty swigs out of them, fill up my flask, and gonna move on.
Okay, go ahead and make a con save for me.
Okay. Con. Oh, 13. There we go. 1 plus 2.
It's a little stronger than you were expecting. You're not drunk, but you're definitely... you realize you should probably not be behind the wheel of a ship right now.
Ooh, okay.
It's like as you're walking through, you're just seeing that it's almost like when the road is too hot. You get that slight haze and that little bit of like wavering over the surface of things. Would anyone else be doing anything throughout the day?
Murdoch would ask some of the priests if it would be at all possible if there is a present scroll of sending, or if some might be able to pen one for her. She would say, money is no object. I will pay more than whatever it would normally be. I just have a very important message that I would like to send. I know you've already provided so much, so I would like to do whatever is appropriate,
Okay.
but if it's possible.
So they advise you they will look into it, see what they can try to do here for you. Eventually, they find their way back to you about an hour later and say that they had reached out to the commander of the tower as well to see if he had anything. And they shake their head, say, unfortunately, there's no one within the tower who can scribe it or is familiar with the incantation, and recommended you to the store that the High Cleric had mentioned before in Palanthus.
In
That
the
could
city,
get you in
we'll have
touch.
better.
Yeah, they know for a fact that you can get it in the city.
Okay.
They also, during that conversation, they also mentioned to you that it's not common for the local armed forces to trust magic users. Meaning the actual, what they refer to as the conclave.
Two strikes against me then. If that's the case, your history has very much so intrigued me. Is there possibly some place where I could, if someone needs to supervise me, that's fine, but I would actually like a little bit of time away from my party to maybe just mourn and peruse some books.
So they do have a small section here. It deals more with with the local stuff for the tower, but they bring you down, and again they leave one of the temple assistants with you in case you have questions. But they're basically sitting just at the door and letting you run through the whole thing.
And she'll probably be there most of the day. She doesn't really want to. She removes herself mostly from the party, and she is going to work on writing something, but if this person stays in that study with her while she just idly reads, she will tell stories about the city of Baldur's Gate, and the city of Splendor's Waterdeep, where she studied, and just all of the different places that she has studied. So she finds all of this potential new knowledge comforting in a moment where she is very much so not comfortable.
And you will, as you mentioned, some of them you do get some minor conversation back. You can tell this person seems to know that you're not really feeling 100%. But as you mentioned, like Waterdeep, they do comment that that's a name that they have heard mentioned, that this strange dwarf in the city is talked about.
Waterdeep, so, Candlekeep.
They start mentioning that, I think we heard about that one. They mentioned that they said that before. So you're starting to get a little bit more of a feel from their couple of odd comments that this person is probably from your neck of the woods.
Not only from our neck of the woods, possibly a learned man. Interesting. But she avoids the party most of the day unless someone is specifically gonna find her, and she probably has a couple good cries.
Okay. Furia, Art, Sarah, anything you would be doing through the day?
I would probably make my way over to the area of trees that Lydia previously wrecked. Just wander around looking for trees and spend my day just there in, more nature than inside.
Yeah, so eventually you do, much like Lydia, as you're just sort of aimlessly wandering around, you do eventually find what looks like it was at one point a nice little shaded area for people to rest approaching the tower. Now it's, 2 trees are standing. The ground is scorched. There are 7 trees strewn, splintered. I mean, it looks like they've been struck by lightning multiple times.
I'll mostly sort of file that fact away, but mostly ignore it. And just find a tree, climb it, spend my day there.
Art, Sarah, anything either of you would be doing?
I'd like to ask the High Priestess or anyone who will answer my question where the kitchen for this place is, and take out my little copied page of recipes for Dragonborns and start trying out those recipes. See how many I can make.
Okay. Go ahead and roll a d20 for me.
Okay. 14.
Okay. So it takes you a little while. They eventually show you into the galley area. It's not much. It's meant for servicing soldiers. It's very sort of bare bones. They tend to do rations. It's not elaborate anything that you're used to. But you are able to spend some time, and you probably get a good 2 or 3 of them done over a period of a couple of hours. With, some minor missteps. It's a new recipe, new cooking methods that you're not used to yet. But you managed to get about 2 or 3 of them done within the afternoon. And that'll bring us over to Art. Anything that Art would be doing? Got most of the day to yourself?
Probably just spending time with this giant crystal ball that I have now.
You define spending time with it. You're going to try to attune to it?
Yeah.
Okay. So where would you be setting up to do this?
How much space do I need?
You don't need much. You could do it sitting on a chair in a corner if you wanted to. It's more as it takes you an hour that you're in contact with this to attune to something. It's like if you're sitting out in the middle of the courtyard with an orb like this, people are gonna go, I wonder what the hell that thing's doing.
I'd probably just once we've all woken up and everything, I'd probably go back to whichever cot I slept on. And just kind of hop up on there and just kind of sit with it.
Okay.
Nothing too extravagant.
So as you're beginning to attune to the, go ahead. Actually, I'm going to ask because you're down in the barracks too. Furia and Art and Lydia. Roll a percentile die for me, both of you. Just don't say anything yet. Let me jot something down real quick.
50 on the nose.
Okay. And yours, Art?
One second, I'm just trying to find the right dice. Okay, there we go.
Okay.
34.
Okay. So that actually works out wonderfully.
Okay.
So, Artemis, as you start to attune to this object, you reach out and set it down. Lydia, you are currently coming back from your excursion to fill up your mugs and your flasks and whatnot. So you can see Art sit down on their cot as you're walking up, pulls the orb out, and you watch as Art sits down and reaches out and grabs onto this orb with both hands.
Mm-hmm.
And immediately as Art does this, Art doesn't notice this, but you do. The orb grows and is now 20 inches in diameter. As Art is sitting there, and you can see Art's eyes have gone white.
Is Art frozen? Like, their just eyes are wide and holding this orb?
Looks like they're just holding the orb at the moment.
I clumsily run over because I've been drinking. And
You're
kind
not
of...
that drunk yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
I sway over a little. And I, immediately, like... snatch the bag and try to, like, throw the bag on top of it, like...
Her hands are on it. Their hands are on it. There's no way for you to put this thing back in the bag at the moment. Go ahead and make an intelligence or an arcana check.
They're the same, and that's not good. It's a 7.
You know a little bit about it. Where Art's holding on to this thing?
Mhm.
Since reason up, you think maybe they're trying to attune to it.
Oh.
When it's a magical item.
Oh.
Is there anything you attempt to do as Art's attempting to attune to this item?
I don't think Art ever told me the property is the item, so no.
Okay. So, Art, as you're starting to attune to this, you reach in, and again, you see that same swirl of those different colors. And those two, as you're looking down, you can see your arms sort of floating, disconnected again. The two arms reach out and grab hold of yours. And you feel that sort of tug of war now. It seems like the two of you are trying to pull each other once more. So you can hear the voice talking back, creeping into the back of your mind once more. As you come, you attempt to join, to take control. Do you have the strength? Can you do what needs to be done? You can feel the arms starting to try to pull you within it. Need you to go ahead and make an Arcana check for me.
Uh, 20. Dirty 20.
Okay. As you're rolling that, as you're sort of feeling this sort of tug of war back and forth, you can feel this item trying to basically push your mind back as it's trying to force you to do what it wants. But somehow you grab that little bit harder and you start pulling, and you can feel those arms starting to give way. As you feel like your body, you're starting to get weaker. It feels like you're running out of energy. Your strength is about to give out as you're pulling on these arms. As your heart starts pumping harder within your chest. What you think is your heart is you have this strange, almost disembodied feeling. Eventually you feel yourself starting like you're going to slip and lose consciousness. And this constant tug of war stops. And you feel these arms that are still firmly grabbing onto your wrists. You feel as though they're now supporting you. As you hear in your mind, so you were strong enough. We are partnered now. You can now use me to call to them. They will come to you. They cannot help themselves. You will find it easier to learn things, and you will be able to peer through, to view things that others cannot. you can look back into the past. And with practice, to the future. Rest now, for there is more to come. And with that, you slowly find yourself passing out. As...
Oh, do I see Art passing out?
Well, would you still be standing there an hour later?
Oh.
Because it takes her,
No.
it literally takes an hour to attune to it. So this is all...
Okay, I thought it was 10 minutes, so I forgot. Yeah. No.
No, this one's a long haul for Art, unfortunately.
Yeah, okay.
Assuming you've walked away, Art, you just sort of collapse with the ball, with the orb shrinking back down, and you collapse sort of hunched over it. You are now attuned to the object.
Oh, okay.
And in the back of your mind, as you're drifting asleep, you have a new thought burning away. But we'll get to that a little later on. As at this point, most of you have gone about your various points throughout the day. Everyone has now been brought out to the courtyard. You can see that there is a pyre built in the middle of the courtyard. Atop the pyre, there is a snow moon laying there. Again, very similar position, arms cross-handed on the chest. Looks peaceful. You notice that there are rows on either side of this pyre. 5 individuals on each side, dressed in full armor. Shields and swords held, standing at attention. You can see the High Clerist is standing at the head of the funeral of the pyre, waiting for the group of you to approach.
Are we ready?
Well, we are prepared on our end. The commander offered some of your friends. It seems that this individual was a warrior. At least that's what we took from the answers we were provided during our ritual attempt. So the commander felt it was obligated to give this individual a warrior's send-off. So he lent us some of the knights.
Murdoch, would you like to say a few words, or would anyone else like to say a few words?
I do have something prepared, though it's more for once things are going underway. And she has shown up with her violin.
Okay. If you don't mind, I'd like to say something before the ceremony gets started.
Oh, but of course.
I have my flute with me as well.
I'll walk up to, as close to the pyre as I can get, and I'll speak out and say, Snow Moon, please understand that I am not angry at you. I'm angry at everything but you. The situation, the enemies, but most of all, myself. I couldn't help you, I couldn't save you, and you died. I wish you could be here, but most of all I wish you peace, I wish you happiness, And I wish you knew how much we all love you. May Nord guide you through stormy seas to calmer waters. And then I'll go back.
Dark looks out at the group of you, and if no one else is stepping forward at the moment, looks over and gestures at a couple of the temple's acolytes, and they come out from around behind the lines of the knights. They each have torches in their hand, and they proceed to go along the river and set it ablaze. And after a few moments, it starts to build.
As it starts to get to the body, Murdoch will step up with her violin, and she will begin to play on it. And I don't think she's ever sang for the party. She's not that kind of bard, but she will sing. She'll sing it in common, and then she'll probably be going through it again in Draconic, but she will sing. Pour the wine and raise a cup. Drink up, sisters, you know how. And spill a drop for one of us, wherever he is now. Some flowers bloom where the green grass grows, but my praise is not for them, but the ones who bloom in the bitter snow. I raise my cup to him, wherever he is wandering with us upon the earth. Let all our singing follow him and bring him comfort. Some birds sing when the sun shines bright. My praise is not for them, but the ones who sing in the dead of night. I raise my cup to him. We raise our cups and drink them up. We raise 'em high and we drink 'em dry. For one of us, from all of us. Good night, brother. Good night. Good night, Snowman.
You can hear there's
And
a few people who are definitely starting to try to wipe their eyes, and you can hear some quiet crying even from the couple of acolytes. I'm sorry, what were you about to say, Furia?
I'd wait until the flames are starting to get a little lower, and I start to play a song, Celtic E, you can imagine, slow, drawing it out.
As
I can't play it, but it's in the chat.
as Furia, as Murdoch's song has gone through its couple of verses, and between Common and Draconic and Furia's playing, eventually the flames slowly start to ember and go out. The knights come forward and they start. Every one of them comes up and makes the same sort of gesture with their sword and gives a somewhat curt bow to the pyre. And you hear a couple of them start speaking. And they're rephrasing a what's the word I'm looking for? The High Cleric comes over and says that they are reciting and I lost my spot here.
A hymn?
Essentially, yes. It's, but they're saying it's spoken, and you can hear the group of them, and you recognize the return this man to Huma's breast, beyond the wild, impartial skies. Grant to him a warrior's rest, and set the last spark of his eyes. Free from smothering clouds of wars upon the torches of the stars, let the last surge of his breath take refuge in the cradling air. Above the dreams of ravens where only the hawk remembers death. Then let his shade to humor rise beyond the wild impartial skies. As each one of them gives a very curt bow as the group of 10 of them are reciting this together. And then they look at each one of you and again give that same salute with the sword and the little bow. So you just start to walk away. The High Cleric comes along and basically starts to collect the group of you and slowly start to lead you back towards the temple. Please come with me. We will go and take a seat. It is easiest for people typically if they do not have to witness the cleaning up. And we will have the items for you in a few moments. And JC brings the 5 of you into that same room again and lets you sit down. You've got a few moments if anyone has anything they wish to discuss or doesn't seem anyone's talking, so eventually about 10-15 minutes comes by and they come in and they set down on the table in front of you a small pillow, and it has a series of 5 pendants on it. Each pendant looks to be sort of about 4 or 5 inches long, looks to be some sort of a crystal. And within it you can see a dark, what looks to be ash within it. After they've set that down for the group, they also bring over a small urn and set that behind it. And the Klaus comes over. You mentioned you wanted each of you to be able to carry him with you. So these were things that we had. They were meant to hold other things, but in this instance, seemed to work well. Each will have a pendant to carry with of your friend, and the rest is within this urn here.
Yeah.
Gives a little bow, and the knights are prepared to depart in the morning to see you through to the city. And she looks over at Furia. Here's the well, I actually advised you that I would provide a letter to make sure that things were smooth for you. I am providing it to your friend only because you trying to run up and hand them a letter. Figure best to have someone that they would expect something from.
Of course. You've shown us all such kindness.
Just all we can do when such things happen. I wish you well on your journey, and may Ashakal bless you. I hope you find what you're looking for in Palanthas. Hopefully, as you find what you're looking for, perhaps you can also help another lost soul while you're there.
Yes.
She gives a little bit of a bow, and I think Lydia's trying to do something, but she has been struck by the silence spell.
I would like to follow her out, if I could, just a little.
Okay.
And I would just like to say, give her a pouch and say, for all your generosity and kindness, I'd like to make a donation.
Thank you, my dear. You certain it seems you all are in a rather dire situation right now. I don't want to take advantage of you.
This is all well earned.
It is appreciated.
And I'll give her 500 gold.
Okay. She doesn't even open it and look. She seems to genuinely appreciate it.
Okay. I will do that.
Okay. Is there anything the rest of you would be doing as the pendants have been set out in front of you?
Put my pendant on.
Okay.
Same.
I'm sure that we can, before we leave, gather the rest of his possessions. Who is going to carry him?
I step forward and take the urn.
I think that's right. I don't want to ever do this again. I'm going to make an amendment to the contract. No one else is allowed to do this. He has found a loophole in something I wrote, and I don't quite like that, so I'm going to have to make an amendment.
Your brain always takes
So,
you a
Murdoch,
little
you're saying
fuzzy when it comes
we have to
that.
come back if we're given the option?
If there was work to be done, yes. Yes, you do.
I don't think I'd mind.
Speaking of work to do, we need to find our way home.
Yeah.
We need to figure out exactly where we are, and if there's anything here other than that poor dwarf in the city that's meaningful. I know that we've met other people that are probably from here, and I'm wondering if we can help those people out as well.
I think that, though this is not my home plane, I think that my services can still extend to the people here. And if we can find anyone talking about an endless staircase, well, maybe we can just end up right back at home.
And we found a door too here, if the moons are correct.
Sure.
But I think we should all go to bed, especially you. You still look a
Yes.
little green.
Yes. I think maybe rest here and then hopefully I'll be back. Not the same, but I'll be in as good of a shape as I can be by the time we reach the city.
Well, there's no use going to bed on empty stomachs. And I put a lot of work into a couple of things this afternoon. You
That
don't
sounds
have
perfect.
to have it, but I promise this time there's nothing in it.
What did you make?
A little something to remember him by.
Then I would love that.
And Murdoch, you would probably recognize a couple of these as more. And forgive me, the DM does not know Dragonborn cuisine.
Old
but it's-
flex on everything. Jewel encrusted hamburgers.
Pretty patties?
Pretty patties.
And milkshakes! Bow tie french fries!
I think honestly, actually, maybe a lot of fish. I don't know why.
Yeah.
That just sort of feels right.
Yeah, especially with Snow Moon seeming to always enjoy fish.
Yeah.
You've got a couple of different things. Again, it's it. As those of you who are choosing to or trying it, it's pretty good. It's you do notice, and this is something that I don't know whether or not Sarah would have tried to have hid this fact, but those of you who are eating this Murdoch, you would probably pick up on it real quick, having eaten this at some point as a Dragonborn. Is the fish probably wasn't fresh. It was probably either salted or dried. It's just something the texture is slightly off. Still tastes good, but it's like, oh, you had to rehydrate the fish, or it was heavily salted first.
I had to
preserve it.
make a couple of substitutions, you know.
It's fine. I'm sure the man would have been fine if we had a gourmet dinner of war rations. That was the nice thing about him.
And good bed.
And just some tea. He never was super fancy with his food.
But eventually, the group of you have your meal, head to bed, and then we're going to scene wipe to a couple of days later. As you have woken up, they have prepared everything as you're getting ready to leave the next morning. There's a bundle of Snow Moon's possessions sort of wrapped up and it's set aside. Basically everything that Snow Moon had in his inventory, and we'll let Maddie send that over however he wants to list it out in chat for people, has been bundled up and put on the carriage. As you guys have a group of 6 horses pulling this wagon with the belongings, a couple of small like empty barrels and stuff, the group of you in it, making your way to Plantis. as the days go by, as I mentioned to you guys, I can't remember if it was on screen or not, we're going through it, is you guys are in this stretch of area between the city and the High Claris Tower is covered by mountains on both sides. The only way to this area is either by flight or through the city or through the tower. There is nothing going on in this stretch of wood. And the group of soldiers that are with you, the knight, you've got a couple of knights, a decent number of foot soldiers, a couple of squires making the trip. They're laughing, treating this as like you would expect a family camping trip in a park to go. Eventually, you make your way towards the city. And as you approach, you can see there are some smaller, like, outlying houses, things on the outside. And then there is a massive inner wall. As this group sort of continues on the way through, and as they approach up, you do see that there are only a couple, you notice a couple of guards on the outskirts of the town. As you get to the wall, though, there are 2 guards manning the gate, and as you're looking around, you can see there are a number of guards up and patrolling on the walls. The knights leading the procession in. You can hear them doing a couple of things. They mentioned they're bringing the whole group to the temple, and that there is a specific request for a representative from the Lord Mayor. About an hour and a half later, you find yourselves parked in front of a beautiful temple with what appears to be an image of a platinum dragon on the outside of it. The couple of foot soldiers and Ryfan has taking the journey with you, as this is where he is typically based out of. He sort of escorts the group of you in, has a few words with the person and turns to the group of you. Well, welcome to the Lord City of Planthus. We have made it. The Lord Mayor himself will be meeting us here. He should be here within the hour. If you'd like, you are more than welcome to rest. I would recommend against wandering around, at least for the moment, for, well, not to be rude, but for you, ma'am, because you're still unusual in this area, or at least now that the war's been dealt with. So rather, better safe than sorry. If you would like, I can take you down and introduce you to our guest. Or you can wait for the Lord Mayor. It's up to you. We have some time, though.
I'm very interested in meeting this dwarf.
He's the only
Seems like he's
connection
been
that we
through a
have.
lot of stress.
Yes, I feel rather guilty about it, but we tend to be the place when people are not quite right in their mind, that in the jails are filled with Kenda. At least until we throw them outside the walls, but they always find their way back in. And to put someone like them who would potentially aggravate or instigate the other people in the jail cells, it's just not wise. So they send them here to see if we can attempt to fix whatever's addled their mind. But come along and I suppose see what can be done for them. And about that time, and I will apologize to him again, as I've been messaging him throughout our session this evening. we're going to jump over to Maddie. So Maddie, as you are sitting within your, well, let's be honest, it's basically a jail cell. It's a little nicer than a jail cell. You're in a small, it has a bed, it has a separate room for a chamber for your needs. There's a table, a chair. It's nice, but the door is still metal and barred so they can see through it. There is an opening so they can slide food and things through to you. You can start to hear voices starting to come down the stairs again. You were given breakfast probably about an hour or so ago. Tray is probably still sitting on the table. No one's come back down to collect it from you again. Haven't seen the high clerist yet. Haven't seen the cleric as of yet today. But you've sort of gotten used to the constant, the different treatments, the spells, the things trying to help you remember the truth of where you're from, which seems to be working. You still know where you're from. They're just, everyone here thinks you're a little crazy. Eventually, coming down the stairs, though, you start to see a somewhat familiar young man wearing the metal medallion with the blue infinity symbol within it. You haven't seen him in probably about a week. He's leading down the alley, or down the stairs and into the hallway, a group of 5 individuals. Looks to be... And being where you're from, you would recognize the difference between a Kender and a Halfling. This is not a Kender. This looks to be an ancient Halfling. A gnome, a Furbolg, a Dragonborn, and an elf. As the group of you are walking down, Maddie, why don't you go ahead and tell them what they're looking at? And what they see.
Okay, so, so what you see is a female dwarf standing at about 4 foot 8 inches, red hair down to her waist that's tied in 2 braids, one like behind each shoulder, and she's not wearing armor, just like general like traveler's clothes. She does have a shield strapped to her back, as well as a battle axe and 2 hand axes, one on each hip.
And as you're looking in and you can see this, Royfin looks at the group of you. The gods attempted to take her weapons from her. And let's just say it required the High Cleric to mitigate the damage. So that, yes, they are here for the safety. Theirs. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Hang on a second. You're not from this world, are you? You're a halfling and a dragonborn. You're from my world, our world, right?
That's why we're here. We heard about you. News of you has spread pretty far. Oh, a couple days far, anyway.
Can you talk to these ones here and tell them that I'm not crazy?
I've been trying to tell them for ages that this one's not a Kender. I still don't know what a Kender is, other than they tend to be grabby with their stuff.
Kind of bang on the bar and say, "Oi, you, guard, see, I told you. I'm not crazy. I don't belong here."
And again, the guard just sort of looks down. This group brought a letter, and the Lord Mayor will have that decision what to do with you. You should be here shortly anyway.
I suppose then we have to wait and speak through these bars. We can't have something a little bit more civil going on here. As she has apparently been telling you, and now we say, there is just some magic afoot. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
He looks over at Orphan, and the guard takes a key off, hands it over to Ryfin, and then steps back into the hallway, closes the door, and you hear a bar drop. You can go ahead and open it. I'm staying out here. I saw what she did to me. Yeah.
Well, we're not going to try and take your axes. We'd actually just like to maybe have a conversation with you. Is that all right, Miss?
Roswin, Halderic. Most people call me Rose.
Rose.
And yes, anything to get me out of this cage, please.
He'll go over, unlock it, open it, and step back.
I'll walk
Just
in.
step out.
Or yours do you walk out? No, come on out. Well, you've got a table in there. We're in a hallway.
And I will, I'll walk out. And nice to stretch my legs.
Well, Rose, it's very nice to meet you. My name is Murdoch, attorney at law.
Murdoch. Oh, hello. And
I'm Lydia.
who?
Nice to meet you.
Hello. Do you?
That's
Sarah Lauder. Spelled like laughter, but not said the same.
Slaughter.
Oh, okay.
I'm Art. Art is the short version. That's good.
Okay. Art.
And I'm Furia.
Hi. Hello. So let's get moving then. And then we can talk.
Yeah, where's the High Inquisitor or High
Mayor.
Mayor? Sorry, I'm playing too many video games. High Mayor. Supposed to meet us here, or are we supposed to meet them somewhere?
He is coming to the temple.
Okay.
He should be here shortly. We have a bit of time to kill, so to speak, before he arrives.
Did you fight a dragon to get here?
No, I didn't fight a dragon, but I don't quite know where we are or how I got to a different plane, but I'm still trying to figure that out.
Did you walk into a patch of mist or fog?
It may have been what happened. I don't remember.
That could also lead to Barovia.
Don't even get me
Barovia?
started on that place. Don't even get me started on that place. I have so many
What?
case files.
Not
I have too
I've heard
many
of that
case
place,
files.
Haven't been there.
Well, Rose, how about we don't want to immediately bombard you with questions. We're pretty newly arrived, a few days, not even a 10-day. I look at the guard. Do you do 10 days here?
Yes.
Okay, not even a 10-day. How long have you been here in this realm?
Not a little bit longer than all you have. Maybe weeks. I'm kind of runs together when you're locked up in a cage, but not much longer than your lot though.
And where was the last place that you remember from our home that you were before you were here?
Let's see. It's all kind of foggy from the time I ended up here. Might have to think on that and see if I can recall.
All right. Well, we're here to answer questions for you. You've gotten a little bit. We walked through some mist. We were
And
trying to get to Baldur's Gate. Eventually.
then you
That's the
just
second failed attempt to get to Baldur's Gate.
You know, normally most people have problems leaving it, not getting there.
and so you are here searching for a way back. Take it.
Yeah, mostly. We heard there was somebody at this library that might be able to help us. Or at the Wizard's Tower.
Yeah,
One or
that sounds
both.
like a good place to start. Unfortunately, I don't have any answers to give you, but seems like we're kind of looking for the same thing.
That is very true. We're all sort of a bit out of it right now, but
Uh,
have you eaten? Have they been feeding you? Do you need
they-
anything? We have supplies.
yes, they have normal slop that you get in here every day, but I haven't
Oh,
eaten
no.
today
no.
yet today.
I hand
If
her cookies.
thank you, and she just devours them very quickly. That's good. What do you call these?
Snickerdoodles.
Do you have another one?
Oh, I like you. I start rummaging through my bag.
I'll offer you a good berry. A good berry?
Oh, sure. Take that.
It will keep you full
that,
all day,
just-
but you can always eat more.
I'm sorry, I
Thank
don't
you.
have
That
any
was-
food.
Oh, that's all right.
Happy to have found you, and we'll get to the
Yes,
bottom of this together.
I'm glad I found you. All is well.
Is there anything that you want to ask us before we go apparently talk to a very important person together?
I mean, we're both trapped somewhere we don't want to be, and we're trying to find a way out. I think that's all I need to know right now.
A woman of action. I approve.
As you guys are having this conversation, eventually you hear some voices coming from the other side of the closed door. You hear the bar get raised, the door opens. And there are now a couple of armed individuals standing behind the, we'll call him the prison guard, as he sort of steps in. Lord Mayor is here and upstairs. They will be standing between the excitable one and him at all times. Unless you'd like to set her weapons down.
That ain't gonna happen.
The two armed individuals, as they're standing there, you can see are wearing full plate armor. And escort the group of you upstairs. Go through the main entranceway and back into the main entrance of this temple. And they take a left and they start leading you into another room. And as you walk into the room, it looks to be almost like a conference room within this temple. It's a large oval-shaped table. There's chairs surrounding it. There's chairs surrounding it on the two long sides, and then there is one chair up at the head of it. There's also a large window on one side of this room. It seems to be looking out into the city. All of you go ahead and make a perception check for me.
Rolling dice in D&D.
17.
Hasn't been
than
much
you
of it this
think.
week.
9.
10.
20? 25.
Oh!
What was the check again?
Perception.
Perception. Okay. 16.
Okay.
14.
So, Murdoch, you would see this to a degree, but you wouldn't get as clear of an image to this. As you were all walking in, Murdoch, you're really focused on the room, taking a look around, getting the lay of the land.
Making sure that no one's, like, gonna stab me because I'm a dragonborn. Yeah.
The rest of you immediately notice outside the window. You can see and start to see through the small garden that's outside this window. You start to see parts of the city. You can see buildings and areas leading off towards the south. They look run down a little bit. Empty. Unused. And off in the distance, you can see a massive gray tower with one large spire coming up the center and two smaller ones coming up on either side of it. It has the image, for those of you who rolled above a 15, it looks like if you've ever seen white, like the white marble that's typically you see on like a bathroom vanity with the gray striations through it. The entire tower is the color of that sort of dark gray striations that run through that white marble. And Furia, you would notice there's a small walkway at the very top of it. Of the highest point. It looks to be just a little tiny walkway around the tip of it. As you all notice that, you hear the door open. And that's where we're going to call an end to tonight's session.
Wow.
Thank you very much for those who joined around. I know I've been apologizing to him via text off stream. I want to apologize to Maddie a little bit for this evening. It was a lot of pick on Snow Moon tonight.
Yes.
But
It's alright. No, it was good. It was a good session.
It was all love.
It was all up.
the Snow Moon was a very loved character, and unfortunately he has shuffled off this mortal coil, but our
Girl
party-
Squad. And
Yeah.
Artemis, they, them, loving it.
Mhm.
Yep.
So they found a new potential companion in the dwarf Roswin, trapped in another world. Artemis rescued a crystal ball from a tower, which was more than Art was expecting. And Art still has, I don't think Art's told anybody about that yet. One person knows you found it.
It's a lot
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah, there's a
Well,
lot going
like,
on right now.
Like, Lydia was there for when I found it. I said that it was magical, and then Furia was a cat while I was taking it
Tuning it.
I
out.
was,
looking at
well,
it. I
if
wasn't
you
That's
were
when you went to
identifying
bed.
it immediately, I still was resting, and I was a cat after, like an hour or two after. So I
Mhm.
don't think I even know about it. Because I had a short rest before I could wild shape again.
Yeah, so realistically,
So-
you would have finished your identify ritual because you weren't attuning to it at that point. That's when you were identifying it.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
would have been done with it before Furia came over to you. So yeah, and then Lydia saw you when
And
you
I
were
was out in the
attuning to it.
forest. Yeah.
I mean, we did just ride in a carriage for 2 days, so you may have had a giant orb in your lap during
Yeah,
that.
but I asked you about it. We'll see.
Yeah.
We can figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Also, wouldn't that sort of, activate that contract that we all signed, but not telling us about something important?
You are contractually obligated.
Again,
It is
you
true.
I'm
died.
just putting it out there.
Was there any
I'm
time
not-
constraint on that though?
I'm not dead anymore. And everyone signed the contract. It's not
You
like
got better.
the lawyer died, so now everything that lawyer has ever written is now
void.
null and void.
It'd be terrible to be a lawyer.
Right?
Everybody would want to kill you all the time.
Right? Everything
is
is
that
legal
not
if
what
you can
happens to
kill a
lawyers?
lawyer.
I'm not keeping it a secret. I just didn't tell anybody.
Good for me.
Okay.
Sounds like
Yeah.
something a lawyer would say.
Yeah, you're learning from Grandma.
I didn't lie to you. We just haven't had a chance to talk about it yet. And realist. No, yeah, that's for the party to decide. Who knows?
We'll figure it out.
But
We'll figure it out.
we will be back next week to see one, how our party is making do with their new friend, and two, what are they going to do? How are they going to get home? What is going on in this strange city with these barren, empty buildings near a strange tower?
There was a war. Someone mentioned a war?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great war.
They're like just on the end like of a war.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Find out next time.
Yeah.
Maybe some of you already know.
Oh gosh.
I think Cap wins it.
Suspicions.
And don't forget, folks, next time you find a strange crystal ball that reaches out and tries to pull you into it, don't tell any of your friends and then do it again.
Oh, it's fine.
Wizards got a wizard!
It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Don't forget to add your proficiency bonus, folks. We'll see you next week.
Bye. Ink, you broke me.
Oh. I saw